Hey everybody, welcome back to Living Traditions Homestead. Well, we're back to work today on our greenhouse project. To catch those of you up to speed who may be new, we're building a second greenhouse here on the homestead. It's going to be the same size as our current greenhouse, which is 16 feet wide by 32 feet long.
The first greenhouse that we've had for a couple of years. I think this is the third winter we'll have it. We use that for starting our seeds and our plants in the spring, not only for our garden, but to sell at our local farmers market. But this greenhouse we will use to actually grow food in raised beds and containers throughout the fall, winter, and early spring. We can't really do both, the growing and the starting of our plant starts, because we just don't have enough room in one greenhouse to do all of those things.
So we've already installed our woven ground cover as the floor of the greenhouse. We'll be building our raised beds and things right on top of this ground cover. This will help keep weeds and grass from growing up inside of the greenhouse. We've also used a gas-powered post driver to install all of our poles along the sidewalls, and we've cut them off to the correct height. So today is the day that we finally get to start putting up the actual hoops. This will be a big step forward in getting this project done.
If you haven't seen our first two videos in this series, putting up our second greenhouse, make sure you check those out. We have created a playlist that will be adding all of these videos to, so you can watch them one right after another.
We've been really happy with the kit that we've ordered from growersolution.com. It's the same place that we got our first greenhouse. That one is holding up so well, so we ordered the exact same one this time, and we're getting this put up. We're hoping to have it up in the next couple weeks so we can actually get some things growing in here yet this winter. So it's time to get started putting the bows up. Let's head over and I'll show you how that's going to happen.
This greenhouse has 9 of the bows, of the hoops. They come in 2 pieces per bow. So we're going to grab all of those, lay them all out, and then start putting them together.
All right, we've got all the bows laid out. Like Sarah said, they come in 2 pieces. So the first thing that we need to do is actually put them together. You can see that one end has a tapered side, and then these just slide together. And then once we have the 2 pieces together, we just use a self-tapping screw. Put that screw in on the bottom side, what will be the inside of the greenhouse, because you don't want anything on the top that the plastic will hit and rip. So we'll just put 1 screw in to hold them together, and then we'll just do that on each of the bows, and then we'll be ready to start putting them into the poles. Just like that. All right, well, we put the first of the bows across the greenhouse so you guys can get an idea of the size. I think it's going to be perfect. Again, it's the same size as our other greenhouse, so we already know how this is going to turn out, but we're excited to show you guys. Now, one issue that we did have already just on this first bow is that our two side poles were not exactly 16 feet across. They were about 16 feet and a half inch, which made it hard to slide the bow down inside. Now, that could be because they're not perfectly straight up and down. We could be off just a tiny bit on our marks, but this is something that happens when you're not a professional putting these things up. So I came up with a solution to use a ratchet strap to just pull the poles a little bit closer together. We were able to slide the bow down inside, take the ratchet strap off, and it's perfect. So we're going to put the rest of the bows on. If we run into that problem again, we may run into that problem on every pole, or we may not run into it again. But if we do, we'll show you that solution. So if you guys build one of these, you can try that too. Well, we got all of the bows on, but there is just one more that was giving us a little bit of trouble that we're going to have to use the ratchet strap on. So we'll show you guys how we do that so that it pulls it just enough, just that much, so that we can slide that down in. Alright, so you can see this pole here is supposed to slide down all the way to here, but we just can't quite get that all the way in. So what we need to do is just pull this pole just a tiny bit this way so that that'll slide down in. So let me grab the ratchet strap and show you how that works. Okay.
Yep.
All right, so we'll just put the ratchet strap between the two poles here. And we'll just ratchet it tight. And again, we're not trying to bend the poles, we're just trying to move them a little bit.
There. Perfect.
Perfect. And now we just take the ratchet strap off and it's done. Nice, easy trick to get those to slide in because, like I said, we're not professionals. Everything's going to be off when you're just doing it yourself, but hey, if you can get it to work, that's what matters. Well, I'm extremely happy with the way this is all starting to come together. Now that we got the bows up, you can really see the size of the greenhouse. It's got my head going, just thinking about all the things that we can do in here. So the next step in this process is going to be putting up what's called the center purlin, which is basically a bar that runs along the center and all the way the length of the greenhouse. They're over here in the package. Let's go take a look at them. Alright, so this package here is the purlins. Now, there's way more here than what we need, but that's because these same poles are used for the roll-up sides. So we need to get out 3 or 4 of these, and we'll actually lay them along the side of the greenhouse, and then we'll make a mark on there where each of the side poles are, and that way when we put them up top, we'll get the spacing of our bows correctly.
So we have our center pole, or the purlin, all connected and screwed together. There are a couple things that we need to do before we put that up here in the middle. We need to measure this to make sure it's just long enough to go from the center of this first pole to the center of the very last pole. That's important because if it sticks out too far, it may rip the plastic on the end walls here. If it's too short, then the bracket won't fit when we need to secure it up at the top. But there's a second thing we need to do once we're measuring down here. We're gonna mark the distance between each pole on the purlin, because these bows up here, if you'll see, you can see that these bows move back and forth. They're not perfectly spaced 4 feet apart like these poles are. But if we measure and mark down here where the poles are, then when we get it up there, we can make sure to position the bows exactly 4 feet apart. Making sure that those are equally spaced is important for the overall stability of the greenhouse. So now that we have all the poles marked, and I have this very last pole marked, we can just cut off the rest of this pole and we won't use that.
Okay, now that we have that center purlin all put together, it's time to actually hang it down the center of the greenhouse. On the 2 end poles, they go up with these brackets right here. These will screw right into the bows. And then on all of the other ones, there's actually these hangers that go over the poles and hang the purlin on that way. Now for right now, what we're going to do is we're just going to hold it up there and kind of tie it with some string so that we can move it around, but at least it'll be up there and we don't have to just hold it with our hands. So that's the first step. We're going to kind of just hang it up there and then we'll get busy putting all these hangers on. All right, now that we have this up here just with the pieces of rope, we can attach, we're going to just put one of these purlin brackets here in the middle, and we're not going to tighten it down yet. We're just going to put it here for some extra support. We want to attach the front and the back of the pole first, because those we know need to line up with those poles, and then we'll be able to go through and put all of these purlin brackets on and make sure that the bows are lined up on the marks that we made when we were on the ground. So the way that these work is they just slide over the pole like this. And you put your bolt in there. And a nut on this side. And again, for now, we're not going to tighten these up. We're just going to leave it like this. But now at least it's got some more support as we work on the front and the back. All right, so now that we have this bracket up here, we'll just go ahead and attach this end of the purlin. And then we'll also put a screw through the bracket into the purlin so that it can't pull out. We'll do that on the front and the back. Now we're just going to go through and put these brackets on every pole. We're going to put them loose for now. Then we'll move them into place and tighten them up. All right, now that those are all up along the top, the purlin's in, these are in the right place. Now I'm going to go through and I'm just going to put a self-tapping screw from the side post into the bow. Just to make sure there's no way that can pop out. We'll just go down and we'll do that in every one. And then this part of the project is over. Well, I think that is an excellent day's work on the greenhouse. It is really starting to come together and it's starting to look like a greenhouse. I'm super excited about that.
You guys, don't forget to continue following us along with this project. Before you know it, it's going to be all complete and we're going to be planting in there. How exciting.
Yeah, we're already sitting down this morning with breakfast talking about what sized raised beds to grow, coming up with the list of plants that we're actually going to get started pretty soon in the house so that by the time this is done, they're just ready to transplant out here. So we really hope that you guys will follow along.
That's right. So you guys, if you're enjoying our channel and our videos, make sure you hit the subscribe button below. If you're thinking that a greenhouse might be for you, make sure you check out growersolution.com. And until next time, thank you so much for stopping by the homestead. Take care and God bless.
God bless.